To talk about the ongoing rift in Netanyahu's government and cabinet, we are now being joined by Flower Hassan Nahom, who is Israel's special envoy for the foreign ministry. Hassan Nahom, good to see you and thank you very much for making time for us. Is there a problem within the war cabinet in Israel, and is Netanyahu safe?
Well, as you know, India and Israel are both very robust democracies, and the governments in this country are made up of coalitions of different parties. So there's an inherent built-in tension in any type of cabinet, especially a war cabinet in the middle of the war. And so, yes, there are big differences of opinions, and there are a lot of criticisms of the Prime Minister on the way that he's executing the war. Absolutely.
So there is a survey that was conducted, and it shows that Benny Gantz is a likely person to take over Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the next Prime Minister. What do you feel, or what do you think about Benny Gantz and his policies?
Well, I'm not sure that we can really say that that's the case. I always like to quote our previous president, Shimon Peres, who says that polls are like perfume, you should sniff but not swallow. You have to understand that the polls that are carried out at the moment in the middle of the war do not take into account what happens after the war when new parties arrive or new constellations of existing parties come together. So it's very difficult to say who is going to be the next prime minister. What is looking likely is that Netanyahu, if he does run another election, he's likely to lose a lot of support. And then we will have to see who arises as the leader of the anti-Netanyahu bloc. Anything can happen. There's many different things that divide the war cabinet at the moment. Benny Gantz is threatening to leave the coalition. But even if Benny Gantz leaves the coalition, Netanyahu still has a government.
Let me ask you this, Hassan Nahom. What do you think should happen after the war ends? What do you think is the right direction for Gaza to take? Or what do you think is the right direction for Israel to take?
Well, firstly, we have to make sure that Hamas no longer have the authority or the resources to rule Gaza. They are a genocidal Islamic fundamentalist regime that has made its own people miserable. They're run by gangs, thieves, and murderers. And so Israel can no longer live with the reality that Hamas has in its borders. What should happen after the war? I think in an ideal situation, that the Palestinians have some type of civil administration, that they can handle their own day-to-day affairs, whether it's by local leaders, whether it's by some version of the Palestinian Authority. Some people agree with that, some people don't. But I would really much like, in an ideal situation, to have intervention from the Americans and perhaps some Abraham Accords countries. Because when you look at the Emirates and you look at Saudi Arabia, how they have managed to get rid of their Islamic fundamentalists for the last 10, 20 years, they seem to know what they're doing. And so I think there could be a nice regional constellation helping helping Gaza and the people of Gaza come to its feet, not under a genocidal regime that have spent all their resources building tunnels instead of developing the economy and developing their own people.
All right. I've been talking to Israel's special envoy for the foreign ministry, Madam Hassan Nahom. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.